Let's jump into this first story. So as we're getting ready to put the show together, I caught this story. It was published just around 6 p.m. FBI delivers subpoenas to several PA Republican lawmakers, sources say. At least some of the individuals receiving subpoenas were told they were not targets of an investigation, according to at least 6 sources reached by Penn Live, but that they may have information of interest to the FBI. All of the sources have been briefed on the investigative moves in some way, but demanded anonymity in order to discuss them. The information being requested centered around U.S. Rep. Scott Perry and the effort to seek alternate electors as part of former President Donald Trump's efforts to remain in office after the 2020 election, several sources said. The Washington Post on Wednesday, citing a source familiar with the probe, also reported that Perry's cell phone was seized Tuesday as part of the Justice Department's criminal investigation into the use of fake electors to try to overturn President Biden's victory. The Post source also spoke on the condition of anonymity. Spokespersons for the Pennsylvania House and Senate Republican leaders did not confirm whether any of their caucus members received a subpoena. Quote, I am unaware of any FBI presence in the Capitol or Leader Benninghoff's office yesterday. To the extent House members or my staff may have been contacted by the FBI, we would not comment on a potential or ongoing investigation. So there's a few simple points to make. And the first one I'm going to say is, I don't trust the FBI. I don't trust the DOJ. I don't trust the federal government. That being said, they're trying to claim that by having alternate electors, it's some kind of fraud. But if you go back to, I think it was 1968, correct me if I'm wrong, it was Nixon and Kennedy. Was it 68? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. You want to fact check me? There was a dispute in Hawaii, and Hawaii sent an alternate slate of electors, which Nixon, as the vice president, decided to use even though they weren't the certified electors.
Was it 1960?
Was it 60?
Nixon, Kennedy, yeah.
And Nixon, okay, so 60. Yeah, why did I say 68? Now what happens is you have this contentious legal battle in 2020. A bunch of Republicans, the electors for the Republican side, which were not the certified electors for the state, did fill out these forms and send them in anyway. Now they're acting as though that was a criminal action or fraud or something. Perhaps they're going to use that as a means to stop Donald Trump from being able to run again. Or it's just part of the bigger, just go after Trump by all means or whatever.
Do you think this is similar to the Nevada, they call them fake electors, but alternate electors that were subpoenaed by the January 6th committee?
Hey, it's all the same thing.
This is so interesting to me because it just looks like the media is writing history in real time. Like they want us to believe that this is insane. It's never happened before, but it happened in 1960. There's nothing crazy about this. They're just make it up as they go along.
I do think the whole thing's crazy.
It is a little weird, yeah.
So we had, I think it was 46 states or something that were involved in a lawsuit. Do you remember this? In 2020, Texas filed a lawsuit against, I think, Pennsylvania, maybe Pennsylvania. And then it expanded into like 46 states where you had like 24 suing 20, suing these like it was Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. And then you had the other 22 in defense of those states.
Oh, wow.
And the Supreme Court, which has original jurisdiction to hear lawsuits between states, rejected it. They said no outright. So we never got resolution on these arguments. And this is leading now, we're heading to the point where the FBI has raided the home of the former president.
Right.
Told them their lawyer could not be present while they were enacting the search, broke the padlock off the room that they requested be there.
God.
I got an interesting email earlier, and I'll call it unconfirmed. In my morning segment, I was talking about, there's a report from I think it's Ken Delaney, and I could be wrong. He was on NBC, and he said, a few months ago, the FBI requested a padlock be placed on this room at Mar-a-Lago, which had these documents. They then went in and broke the padlock they requested. That's a simple way to put it if you think the FBI is one guy. But the FBI is not one guy. It's not a monolith.
Right.
So I got contacted by someone alleging that they were a former FBI agent. And they said, they didn't tell me anything crazy. They just said, you're right. The FBI is a bunch of different offices. It's not monolithic. There is leadership, but often there's like senior leadership that will take actions in one direction without one other office knowing. So my assessment was one group of on the board, on the level FBI agents say, okay, we know what you got here. It's fine. Just padlock it in case. This other group of agents gets a warrant signed off by an Epstein judge, a former Epstein defense attorney.
So questionable.
Yeah.
And then goes in and smashes the padlock and seizes documents or something like that, allegedly. Yeah. So Banana Republic, collapse of the United States. I'll throw it to my panel.
One of the most wild things I read coming out of all of that was Andrew Cuomo, who's like, the DOJ should really explain what's going on. Otherwise, it's going to start to look like the January 6th committee is not credible. Andrew Cuomo, the disgraced ex-governor of New York. I mean, if anyone really can recognize when something is corrupt, I would assume someone who has been asked to leave office would be a good judge of character there.
Yeah. I mean, should I just jump right in? And
Yeah, what do you think?
For it, yeah.
When I was a political consultant to the vice president in 2000, also a contested election outcome in which no one was criminalized for asking questions about the outcome. I mean, this is really haunting me. But also, I advised the Clinton re-election campaign. And what I learned as a political consultant is to read events backwards. In other words, what's happening? Like, what's the outcome? Like, let's leave the story alone, because what you learn as a consultant is that at that level, the guys in the room choose the outcome, and then they go to the message guys down the hall and ask the message guys to come up with a story to get the American people to accept the outcome, the goal. And often the story has nothing to do with the goal. So I'd encourage you almost like, don't pay that much attention to what you're being told about the reasons that lawmakers who are Republican are being subpoenaed, or that the president of the United States has, 30 people bursting into his private home and seizing his materials. And look at everyone else. Project Veritas is related to this. Steve Bannon having a SWAT team going into his private home is related to this. I mean, leaving the stories aside, the overall chessboard is the criminalization of being a Republican. And
did you ever think you'd say that?
I mean, yeah, I wrote this book, The End of America, in 2008, warning that we were hurtling toward, that there are 10 steps tyrants always take to close down an open society, and that step 10 is where we're at now. I didn't know we'd get here so fast. I thought we'd headed off at the pass because we're, able to cherish our republic, but clearly we're not doing that. But yeah, so the outcome is, you're exactly right to worry about timing, Tim, because these are dangerous months. And I've been saying this for months, leading up to these months. What are we in now? August, September, October, November.
It's going to get crazy.
It's going to get crazy. And the goal is to have things so unstable, so scary, chilling everywhere, shocking images, people's homes being broken open, people being led away in handcuffs, Peter Navarro in leg chains, right? This is all part of the drama, the spectacle of what other countries like Russia and China understand is tenderizing an enemy. So the American people are being tenderized right now. And the goal is to completely incapacitate the Republican leadership, to scare journalists and critics like you and me, because that's part of it. And we'll just say me, I'm scared. And also to tie up the leadership like Bannon and Trump in so many legal problems and hassles that they are not able to pose a threat to the outcomes that are already foreordained.
And Alex Jones.
And Alex Jones, absolutely.
He's not, Jones was so massively influential in 2014, 15, 16. They found a way to get him off all these platforms. And Alex Jones, for all the criticisms that I think he deserves, he got wiped off of the internet back to back all at the same time.
Right.
So maybe you can call it a cascade effect, but I think powerful interests were like, this is a guy who's rallying people with a massive platform. This can't be allowed.
Right.
I guess my question for you, when you wrote the book in 2008, did you think it was going to be Republicans who would turn out to be the victims of this?
That's such a painful question. I mean, at the time, it was Republicans doing the bad things.
It was Mitt Romney and like John McCain.
Oh, no, worse. It was
Bush.
Dick Cheney. I mean, it was Guantanamo. It was, the global war on terror. That was the terrifying internal and external threat invocation. That's step 1 of the 10 steps to fascism. Now it's a virus. But
to be fair, Liz Cheney's still here, and she's leading the charge.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Wyoming is so happy.
Yeah.
I guess what I said then, I mean, I remember this. My people are so dumb.
Who are your people in this?
The former liberal. I mean, I'm a liberal by classical liberal all my life, registered Democrat all my life. My former people, my former tribe of the left are very short-sighted, and they're cheering about Project Veritas is in trouble, Donald Trump is in trouble. It's like cheering the rope that is going to hang them metaphorically,
Yep.
you know, and they're not reading history. But the reason I say this is that in 2008, I remember everyone around me going, we just need to get Obama in, and then there will be no more tyranny. And I'm like, are you insane? Are you insane? These things of, you know, shutting down democracies, the left and the right both do it. And during the Obama years, I was one of like 5 people on the left, including Glenn Greenwald, who were like, you know what, he's droning Americans. Guantanamo's still open. It's growing. You know, all of these promises are not being kept. So I didn't expect it would be Republicans being hunted, but I'm not surprised that that has come about.
I was fairly young in 2008. I voted for Obama, and I was skeptical, but I kept hearing from all these people saying, like, this guy's different. He's not the same part of the machine. He's an outsider, and, you know, he came from community organizing. And I was like, I don't know, sure, whatever. I'll vote for the guy. And then one of the first things he did was he blew up some kids.
Right.
Was I think it was like literally within a few days, a drone strike in Pakistan hit a village. And then I was like, wait a minute, we were protesting the war, and this guy just did this thing. Then when 2012 came around, I was just like, yeah, right, you're not going to get me to vote for this guy again. And now we've got, I love bringing it up because of how important it is, the extrajudicial assassinations carried out by the Obama administration. This is why I was so adamantly opposed to Joe Biden. I ended up voting for Trump. I didn't vote for him in 2016, but in 2020, I was like, you're not giving me Biden, you know, Obama 2.0 or whatever. And it ended up happening. So...
Well, you've had quite a journey. I mean, how do people, your former friends, feel about that?
Former friends,
right?
You know, well, interestingly, my real friends that I mostly grew up with, only a few of them have lost their minds. But there have been some weird circumstances. But surprisingly, like, I have a friend who's deeply woke, still a really good friend, and just like we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, and it comes up sometimes, and you can feel tensions rising, and then it just like, let's talk about horror movies.
Yeah,
but I'm glad that can happen.
Yeah.
But I do think, you know, for someone like this, a friend of mine, they're not overtly political. It's, you know, you were mentioning your former liberal, you know, associates or cohorts or whatever. They're just not paying attention, and they're passively absorbing what they're being told and assuming it's true.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I feel like with my friends, liberal, or even there are conservatives like this too, a lot of them aren't inherently political, and there are a couple issues that matter to them. And so they'll buy the whole ticket, even though they can't see, like you're saying, that these are ultimately interwoven issues. They can't see what their decisions will lead to in the domino effect.
I got to just jump right to abortion. Right? The Democrats recently tried to pass a bill that would allow abortion up to 9 months.
Oh, God.
So it was cleverly worded that in the instance where the mother's health was in jeopardy, an abortion could be carried out post-viability. Right. And so my response, we had a progressive on, was very simple, like, okay, I hear you. If the baby is viable, why abort it?
Yeah.
Why not just deliver it?
Did this person actually support that bill?
And beyond. This individual told us it's the woman's choice no matter what, up to the point of birth.
Yeah.
And my position...
Insane.
I grew up in Chicago. I grew up with a liberal family, and we were always like, yeah, maybe like the first trimester pre-viability, we understand. After that, you're in dangerous territory. Now the left is just wholesale, like whenever, whatever.
I think Larry Elder was on the show and saying that it's the health of the mother as well. So it could be like if she's going to suffer depression, then maybe she can terminate an 8.5-month-old fetus.
God.
It's not just about the life of the mother; it's about the health of the mother, which is like vague.
Right.
But just to bring it up, you know, you as I guess you consider yourself former liberal. You're still liberal.
No, I'm a classical liberal. Me and 3 other people. Yeah.
Yeah. Or politically homeless is one way.
Yes, totally a political refugee. Absolutely.
But so you're obviously not in favor of abortion up to 9 months.
No, I am not.
It's crazy what the left has become. That they would call us right wing.
For raising questions about that.
It's crazy.
It's insane. I mean, what really scares me about this is what I'm seeing on the left is this kind of entrainment almost intellectually, where if the thing is support Ukraine, you can't ask any questions about, you know, Ukraine's abusiveness to the rule of law. If the thing is abortion, and under any circumstances, no matter how crazy the bill is, no matter how extreme, how sadistic, how abusive, how, I would say, anti-woman and anti-baby it is to, you know, extend the abortion capability into the second trimester, third trimester. If that's the thing, it just seems to be plugged into people's minds on the right, and they just kind of follow like lemmings, like with no critical thinking. They can't demur.
Right.
And there are a lot of interesting reasons for that. But I do think on the left, critical debate is no longer possible. And it's so important to distinguish themselves from like Trump lovers or whatever they call anyone who disagrees with them.
Yeah.
And that's really scary to me, because if you look at history, it's people in that mind state that go along with genocide. And look what they went along with, and go along with. The former left, people I know and love who would never discriminate against a gay couple or a lesbian couple, never discriminate on the basis of race, embraced a discrimination society that was just like a Jim Crow two-tier discrimination society.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.